Cedric, I welcome you to the video series Meet the Expert in Citizen Social Science, and you are from Bordeaux, and you work with the Open Knowledge Foundation, and you are responsible for the literacy program. And my first question is about your self-definition. So, who are you when you do citizen social science?
Yes, so as a member of the Open Knowledge Foundation, a staff person, I work on literacy programs, which means that I get to design programs where the goal is to support individuals and organizations in making sense of the world around them. That can mean often for us making sense of data and technology around them to be able to achieve their own goals. We do not define their goals for themselves, but instead we support them with skills and trainings so that they can achieve their own goals within the changing environment that they evolve in. And so citizen social science has the same approach where the aim is to work with citizens who have already a goal, who have already a problem that they want to solve, and identifying how some research tools, methodology can support those goals while, and that's very important, while empowering the citizens in the process so that it does not become a relationship of dependency on the researcher, um, which is the same approach that we have in literacy. So I would say that I am at the interface between the academic research, because I'm not a researcher, and the practice of citizen science in the civic sector. And being part of COACT, I get to also learn more about the academic side, which I then sort of process to be able to infuse this in my practice.
I think that there was a starting point to do citizen social science. It's a roughly new concept. So, how did you get involved?
Well, we basically got contacted by COACT, by the University of Barcelona, to be part of the consortium, especially because of our expertise with data, which included research data, and with working with citizens, training programs, and generally being international civic organization. So that's how we started being involved in COACT and in citizen social science. But very quickly, we understood that a lot of the work that we had been doing were very much aligned with citizen social science. So we were doing it somewhat before being involved formally in COACT. And now we probably going to do more of it with a clearer idea of like what tools we're using, what are the pros and cons, and connecting that better with continuous academic research on the topic.
And was it the first time that you came in contact with citizen science as a whole? Because your 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 profession is close literacy, technology, educate people. Was it the first time?
Right. No, so not citizen science. So, especially when you talk about working with citizens and data, there has been a lot of projects for a very long time around getting citizens to collect environmental data or um, data about their neighborhood or data about birds, etc. And so these are projects that we had known and read about for a long time, and those practices from what we call classic citizen science were already absorbed in our practice as civic organizations. So this is not new, but what is new is um, applying this questioning of working with citizens, but in the context of social science, which makes total sense for an NGO working with people and not working on simply collecting environmental data, but which was not necessarily something that was uh, done a lot.
And do you have an example? What happens when you do citizen science in practice? So, and probably is a special field of expertise or special method?
A lot of the process of doing citizen social science includes organizing workshops. So that can be co-evaluation workshops, co-design workshops, etc. Those workshops sometimes mobilize other methodologies such as the design thinking methodologies. So those are tools that we have been using for a long time. Those are tools that we, in our data literacy programs, found necessary to be able to engage the people we were working with in supporting their own programs and in teaching them. Because the way you design a literacy program is not to simply put people in a class and then teach them about data or about technology or about various concepts, but rather you need to engage them so that those concepts make sense in the context of their practice and their day-to-day work and their goals. And so to do that, very naturally, we have been using those tools that around collaborative workshops, designing questionnaires together, that can be found in a typical citizen social science project.
And what kind of people, citizens, organizations is it that contact you? What other needs of them?
Yeah. So interestingly, we have a different approach to this because Open Knowledge Foundation is what we call an expert organization, meaning that we do not work on a specific topic, but rather people who need our expertise. That can be philanthropic organizations, that can be institutions like European Union or the World Bank approach us to support their beneficiaries in various countries. So I wouldn't say that people approach us as in citizens approach us directly. Rather, it's existing programs that approach us to so that we provide the expertise, and then we through this model, we are led to work on a very wide variety of topics. So I've started my work in this field by working with citizens in the neighborhoods of Paris, in the north of Paris, who were trying to basically use data as a way to make discussions about problems in the neighborhood more consensual, more aligned, starting from a factual basis. So that was the starting point. Then from there, I got working in the international sphere. I got to work with citizens working on transparency in the oil gas mining sector. I got to work with indigenous population trying to make the process of attributing licenses to exploit the forest they live in fairer. I got to work with groups in Latin America trying to change how gender was defined in the law. And so we have this chance and this difficulty as well to work across those topics. And it happens in our experience that those workshops I mentioned, those co-design workshops, those citizen science tools are relevant every time.
Okay. The relevance, it has a special relevance. So if we take a view on citizen science at the whole, what do you think, what are the benefits for the people, for the citizens?
I would say that from the perspective of a research project, it has this benefit of empowering them and providing them an understanding of how they can go from a question, a problem that they define, to ideas of a solution, perspectives that are backed by solid evidence. And I think this is not necessarily common or obvious. There are, of course, a lot of civic organizations or citizens that attempt to do that process, but it's either partial it's not necessarily rigorous, or they may be stuck trying to do it and end up resorting to sort of the traditional way, which is to, go from anecdotes, observations, instinct, and build a platform on that. And citizen social science bring that possibility of having more than that. Anecdotes and instinct is very important because those people live the situation, so they know it's true. But citizen social science bring that possibility for them to know how to add solid evidence to their platform and what are the steps to go about it. And of course, it's not easy. And the fact that there's this interaction with researchers who work with them on a project, but which also transfer to them the knowledge about running that kind of projects is, I think, the main benefit.
It's not quite usual that in science, in general, people participate in the process of doing research, in the science process. So participation, co-design, collaboration are important topics within social science. So what do you think about it?
We were talking about how there is some element of interaction in typical research project when at the beginning you may do a pre pre-survey questionnaire where you will do a little questionnaire to get a sense of like how people are approaching the question, what are the keywords that they use, so that you then adapt your research to their reality. And then you may also organize some engagement activities at the end of your research. But then there is often a sort of middle piece of the research project where it's basically reserved for the researcher. The professional is at work, and now you are not part of it. And citizen social science really differentiates itself in making that middle piece collaborative as well. And that's what's really important. It's not simply about talking with them about the research at the beginning or engaging them on the results of the research, but rather making them part of the process, even in the more technical aspects, the hardest part of the research or the most boring parts, so that they are fully owners of the process and fully participants to the process.
And citizen science is, and especially citizen social science, is still an emerging field. How do you envision the further future for citizen science approaches?
Well, I think a lot more research is needed. Right now, we have this work, for example, with three civic organizations in Europe working on gender issues. But we are just now getting some insights about how, even within the field of gender, well, it's not the same to work on simply women at work and LGBTQ issues. So understanding how citizen science can be applied or should be adapted to different areas, to different fields, is really important and something that needs for sure more work and more research. And then the second aspect of that element I just mentioned is that there is an important element of citizen science, which is taking things that civic organizations have been doing for a long time and sort of identifying what works, what doesn't among those. And then this like process of giving back from the academia to civic society is something that we also need more investment in the future.
Yeah, for me, the amazing experience is to collaborate with so many different people with expertise in so different fields. So wouldn't I done citizen science, I hadn't met you, yeah. And so for me, it opens up my mind, yeah. And Cedric, so I thank you for sharing your expertise here, and yes, best for your project.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Yeah.